Tell me about fear. This country has seen moments of real darkness and come together, the Blitz in 1940, for example. And I remember when this started happening in March, I had a young team and I said, look, I've seen things like this before. I've seen economic crashes. I remember the AIDS scare when I was in New York City. And I said, you're going to feel all this fear, but if you breathe through it, it's never going to be as bad as you think it is. But a lot of people have processed fear really maybe poorly or in a difficult way with all this COVID. How would you give advice to how to deal with the fear and the unknown? Because it's not dissimilar to business.
Well, look, here we are sitting in a serious business conversation and we're talking about fear. The world has changed, and absolutely right. Fear is one of the most common human emotions that we all suffer all of the time. And actually, it's very useful. A bit like anger can be very useful as well. It gets you up and gets you off your bum and gets you doing things. Yeah. Stress is not so good because it sort of debilitates you and stops you doing things. So, there's a balance, but I think, we're going through a period where we're learning, and I think it'll be taught in schools eventually how to deal with these emotions that we get as human beings, as opposed to just learning about history and geography and math, and we will get much better and more rounded human beings ready to and work together. But I think, I've seen during this whole pandemic crisis a bit of a wartime spirit, a sense of us being in it together. And I hope that will, as I'd say, go through to government, so that we'll get better politicians in time, because we, the people, will give them a bit more, will realise that you can't, if you kick them as soon as they come in and try to catch them out. Look at your life, look at my life. There's a million things I could get caught out on. There's some naughty things that I've done along the way. So does everybody who's criticised them. So does every single journalist do. So it's a terrible hypocrisy, really. And we should allow people to be human and have their flaws. Flawed people, let the cracks in, let the light in. And we're all flawed people. Just give people some string to go out and, for the most part, try and help themselves. And actually, leaders generally need to have ego and ambition and want things for themselves. That doesn't mean they can't be. I think fundamentally people are good. And I think we've got an attitude that fundamentally people, especially who want power and leadership and are capable people, who generally those people are flawed because they want that. They're not. They're human beings. They're good. They're decent people. So I try to look, even when somebody does me over, I try to look for the good side in them, because if you look for the good side, you bring it out, and that flowers. And then the secret of this whole world is never take anything personally, ever, in your personal life or your business life. It's never personal.
How do you do that, Simon?
You follow that mantra. Never take anything personally, ever. So if somebody says something, because the thing that we all don't like is when people disrespect us or this, that, or the other. If you let go of that and say, oh, it's just the other person's having a bad day, get on with it. Right. Keep on smiling, keep on bringing out the best in other people. And, it's a lot of business I find these days is not, yes, you have to have contracts to protect yourself, but I don't like ending up in court. So I, for the most part, rely on decent relationships with people. And in contract negotiations and deals, I try to give the other person what they want as much as possible, not just take for me. And I find that things work out better that way.
Right, builds that long-term relationship better.
Yeah.
I love the thing about being personal. It could never be personal because they don't know who you are anyway.
Well, often, yeah, exactly. Right. And it's the stuff that's going on in their head. Or you probably make it up anyway, but it's personal. They don't respect you. In Japan, they have a thing called nemawashi. Okay. That when they have a meeting, if it's an hour meeting, they spend the first 30 or 40 minutes talking about how's your family, what's the thing like, and they build a rapport. Right. And then from that rapport comes the ability to make decisions quite easily because you have a connection. Whereas, as we know in America, they go, okay, what's the deal, boys? What's the deal? Straight into it. And in Britain, we don't really say what we're thinking. We just say, oh,